Diane,
Hi.
thanks for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Tell me about the initials of your company. What does it stand for?
So DCT are my initials, Diane Thomas, and it stands for Delivering Careers Together.
That worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah, because what I want is it's like a three-legged stool approach that the candidates, the client and us, we're all equal, and without either one, the stool would break, it would fall down. So we're delivering the careers together as a partnership.
Love that. But you didn't start in recruitment, did you? You started in a very well-known fast food chain, didn't you?
Yeah, where I stole the idea of the three-legged stool approach.
Did you?
Yeah, so I worked at McDonald's from the age of 17, started as a crew member, did my A-levels, went to university, did sports science, became a shift manager within that time frame. And then when I finished university, sports science wasn't as a big thing as it is now then, so the wages weren't as good. So I went salaries with McDonald's in the March, and then I fell pregnant with my son in the May, at the age of 23. So 22, I was 23 when I had him. So yeah, like I guess you say you stick then for job security and stuff, but you know, McDonald's has got a really strong training program, so I enjoyed every moment of it as well. You know, I got from a salaried second assistant to the store manager within 3 years of having 9 months pregnancy and 6 months maternity as well, so I got quite fast tracked into becoming a store manager as well.
Nice. The McDonald's thing, like I remember, you know, it was one of those things when I was growing up. Working at McDonald's was seen as a bit of it was a bit of a taboo thing. You wouldn't talk about it if you worked there. Yeah. You know, it was seen as a less flashy career option. But having spoken to people who've worked there, and especially now, given, you know, that they're still here, they're a big employer in the UK especially. Everyone loves it. But it's not the fact that they just love it. It's because it's foolproof.
Yeah.
You know, someone that we were business partners with for a while, he said they even teach you how to sneeze, you know, because everything is down to a T from an operational point of view. Yeah. Was that your experience as well?
So, yeah, it's very methodical. It's like, I always compare McDonald's like being in the army. It's very regimental. You know, you wouldn't say, should we just put one pickle on this Big Mac today? You just do what it is. You do what it is. It's well oiled. The reason it works is because it has all the systems in place, and then it's just like a stamp, and then you just put that in the next McDonald's, the next one. And that's why it's so successful all over the world. If you got children?
Yeah, too.
Yeah. So when you go on holiday and you may be somewhere a bit unusual and you see the Golden Arches sign, what do you think?
I'm home.
Yeah. The kids are going to eat. The kids are going to eat no matter what the hotel's like. The kids are going to eat. So that is ingenious, isn't it? To be able to build a brand like that, so recognisable, whether you love it, you hate it, it's indifferent to you. You know, it's incredible. But that all comes because they're tenacious, they're ahead of the game, they're always looking of ways to improve. Constantly, it's how to improve. So it will go into the detail of, right, if we put these ketchup tips here instead of here, then that saves one less step for that crew member, which means that one less step over an hour, we can get 3 more cars through the drive-through. So it's called Bergonomics. So Bergonomics. So they will do that in order to then get the cars moving through the drive-through faster. You look at, everything you would have a template for of how you would set it up, and that's just how you did it, because that was the faster and more efficient way to be able to give the customer the best experience. That's what it's always about, is giving the customer the best experience.
It's funny actually, because the film The Founder is one of my favourite films. Yeah. And I always think every time we talk about McDonald's in any kind of conversation I'm in, I just think of that film.
I cried watching that.
Really?
Because he's a criminal, isn't he?
So he is a criminal. I mean, I think criminal's strong.
Okay.
He took advantage of
he's clever. Yeah. So I was like, wow, I've worked for a con man for the whole of my life, because I am honest as the day comes. So that's maybe a bit strong
I called him Ray Crook. Yeah. Because it was quite crookish what he did to the
shaking the hands
families.
And then not giving the royalties. I was like, wow, we've worked for so. But if you flip that into the business world, you know, that there's no friends in business or whatever, that type of thing, then yeah, he was very clever, and he did what he did really well.
He saw something, didn't he? He saw something, he went for it, he wanted it.
Yeah.
And he did everything he could to get it. And I just think about that. But going back to the operational thing, there's a line in that movie that I really love, which is like, if you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, you know, there was no time wastage whatsoever. Yeah. The choreography of the stations. Do you know that is said
throughout every McDonald's, though?
Say that again, sorry.
That saying is said throughout every McDonald's.
Is it actually?
Every manager, we will say that. I would have said that millions of times in my career when you walk past crew. Like, time to lean, time to clean. Yeah.
Oh my
constantly,
God.
Yeah. And they get a cloth and start working.
I just thought that was like a dramatization for the film, but that's actually a wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But I mean, it just goes to emphasize, doesn't it? You know, no second wasted.
Yeah.
You know, every second is time. Time is money, literally.
Well, yeah, 100%. And I think in any business, you need to apply that. You know, I think also, you know, as a business manager, you'd look at your P&L and your profit and loss. So every account you would look at and be like, right, well, how can we save money there? Why are we wasting that? What's going on there? So your food cost, for instance, is one of your biggest costs in the company, you know, and everything has a timer on it. So if it's out over X amount of time, whatever the shelf life is, you'd have to bin it. So you have to have certain processes in place then to make sure, one, it's tempered. So what that means is so if it's lettuce out the chiller, it's got to room temperature and you can serve it on a Big Mac, because if you put it on too cold, then the product's going to be cold. However, you need to use it within 2 hours. So you need to be able to have enough levels. So you would work out how many Big Macs you're going to sell, what lettuce usage you're going to use, and you'd have a chart to follow to say, right, we need 4 bags of lettuce out for this hour, we need 10 for the next hour, because the sales fluctuation. So your staff are taught all of that process, that detail. So you think as a 17-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, you're learning that intricate detail of something so small that you don't understand that you're learning, because it's just a process and it's second nature by the time you've been there 6 months. Does that make sense?
It does. And it just got me thinking there for a second as well. Like, you know, there's a lot of conversation around the education process and, you know, the schooling system, and how the schooling system is, you know, hundreds of years old, like 150 years old, from like Victorian era, where you would literally go to school and be taught how to join the factory. Yeah. Is the McDonald's the modern day factory?
I would say so. So, like, you know, they do apprenticeship programs. So, you know, for children who don't want to stay in school, you know, when I ran my store, I had like the highest number of apprentices in the UK, because getting people who'd never had a GCSE through that programme while they're working, they then get 5 GCSEs at the end of it. They do the maths and English within it if they haven't got that already. Then once you do your shift management, you get an A-level. You get A-levels as part of doing that. So I know some of my managers then got enough UCAS points to get into university.
Wow.
I did a second degree with McDonald's in business management through Manchester MMU. So you've had store managers who never got a cap and gown experience that could then go and do it. So they have a hamburger university. That's what's in head office. So it is real. All these
I knew it was.
It's real.
I knew it.
It's real.
I remember my dad telling me actually once. My dad was actually sort of having a laugh at the fact that it's like, doing hamburger studies. It's like, it's actually real. Yeah. It's there and you can do it.
One of Ray Kroc's sayings is, we're a people business, we just happen to sell hamburgers.
I mean, he's wrong, actually. You're a real estate business, really. I say you're not in that anymore. So how long ago did you leave McDonald's then?
So it will be 5 years, the end of this year, I will have left McDonald's. So I worked in head office in the training department for about 4 years. And teaching that world-class training and even understanding the logistics of it all, being a head office with all the franchisees, the VPs, the commercial, the corporate world, you learn that you've got more about you, like, and you get hungry for a little bit more. So you'd only ever go in there for secondments, so then you have to go back to the restaurant. So I did. I turned it round. I made it from 2 million to 4 million a year. It did have like capacity opening, so it was going to make money anyway, but we exceeded it. And then I won an award called the Ray Kroc Award, which only 1% of people in the world win. So I won that, blah, blah. And then I was like,
blah blah, right? That's
yeah, it was good. Yeah,
that's massive, right?
Yeah,
you're in the 1%.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I know. Yeah, so yeah, and then I actually paid for my CV to be done. Believe it or not, I hadn't had a job interview since I was 17.
How do you mean? So how do you mean you paid for it to be done?
So there's people out there that will write your CV for you and charge you the service. And as a recruitment company, I wouldn't. I'd do it for free for people, but there is services out there that you can pay. I look back at it now and there's like a few spell mistakes, but anyway. But they put it all together because I didn't know how to do that. You only know what you know until your questions, aren't you? So I then started applying for jobs. I think being there for 22 years went against you in some ways because I think people were like, are they really going to leave, or are they this or that? And then I got a job interview for a company in Manchester, a recruitment company. And I went for my first interview. Then they brought me back in front of 3 of them, 2 directors and their business coach, support person. And I had to present the difference between, it's a service-led business to the product-led business. How would it change that type of stuff? Obviously being a trainer and doing presentations, that wasn't too bad. But they questioned me a lot, really, why are you gonna leave this? And I was like, I just want a different challenge, And fortunate for me, they hired me in the January, and then COVID hit in the March. So I feel that as being lucky though, because I had time to sit and digest a whole new business. I didn't know what an FLT driver was. I didn't know what I didn't even know an agency existed when I went for the interview, because I had no reason to.
No.
And this is what I explain to my staff now is, just because you live and breathe this every day doesn't mean to say everyone knows what you're talking about.
No.
When you're going out to clients, don't think everyone knows what an agency is. Don't think everyone knows what recruitment is. And some people think recruitment's always just the big high fees, the permanent roles of it. And it's not. We can recruit for a day. If somebody needed a hand unloading a van for a labourer for a day, we can do that. It's as small or as big as you need. Does that make sense? It's there. It could be there to cover holiday covers or sickness or anything. There's a solution to everything in life, and it's just educating people about that. And not every business does know that it's out there.
I mean, you're right in what you're saying actually, and it highlights quite an important point. And we almost become institutionalized with our own businesses, don't we? Obviously, going from something as huge as McDonald's, you do become institutionalized
100%.
Quite quickly.
100%.
I mean, I've never worked there myself, but we were saying before we went live, I would have loved that experience actually, just to feel what that kind of operation would feel like. But yeah, we know our businesses inside out. We should be presuming that no one has an absolute Scooby-Doo what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we almost need to talk to people about our business like they're a 5-year-old.
Yeah, you'd have to put everything in a bit of layman's terms, because, and I use myself as an example with my clients. I say, right, you're asking me to find the diamonds in the rough. And so, not to blow my own trumpet, but if you look back, 5 years ago, I got a job in a recruitment company, and I've had a business in it for 3 years, so everything was very transferable. Recruitment's all about people. McDonald's was all about people. Running a business, the foundations of any business is the same. You need your own processes in place. You need to, consistently do the same thing every day. You need people practices. You need to be able to look after people. You need to understand your accounts, everything of running a business is all the same, really, isn't it? Just what you're selling as a business is what changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all I had to do was learn that trade, and I am very honest to my clients to say, look, I'm never going to know you do marketing. I'm never going to know marketing the way you do. Never in a million years. But I could find you a person to work for you, because what I will do is listen to what you want. I can read a job description and I can read a CV. It's just like putting a jigsaw together. But what I pride myself on is coming out to your establishment and feeling your culture, seeing your culture. What does your environment look like? What type of person do you want? What are your values? You can't get that over the phone. You can't get that anyway. I've got to come and feel and see and feel that, because that's that's the secret ingredient, isn't it? Is this person is us. This is our person, you know.
Absolutely. I think it's somewhat ironic, isn't it, that, you know, for people who are in the business of people, not to do face-to-face or not to be around people and do it. I mean, obviously we were forced to do it online for a period of time. And people have quickly reverted back. Yeah. But you still have those, you know, those recruiters that you'll never meet.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
That's a bit crazy, that, right?
Yeah, and you can build a relationship with people over the phone and over Zoom. You definitely can. However, if I go back to my training days, 55% of our message is our body language. Yeah. 38% our tone, and 7% is the words we're saying. So I can see your body language over a Zoom, but I can't feel it, can I? No. So when you're meeting the clients, you can feel whether they're quiet, or you can feel whether they dot the I and cross every T, or they're not really processed it. You just feel it. You can't. It's that.
They call it kinesthetics, don't they?
Yeah, like you know. So by doing that, that's how you put the people together. Because I actually don't want to have to replace a role twice. Yeah, I don't want a second fee. I want to fix your problem. Yeah, you've got a problem. My candidate's got a problem. I want to fix it. And I want to make a difference, and then I want to move on. I need to build a relationship with you where we become part of your DNA. We build a partnership. We become involved in your strategic planning, your people planning. What does the future look like? What's your talent plan look like? You know, I could even, you know, I'm even thinking of starting to put leadership training in and things like that, because I've got all that experience. I've got material that I could do that with. So if I become your people person, not just recruitment, does that make sense?
Yeah, head of people.
Yeah. Then isn't that better? And aren't we going to just grow even more? And I would be so proud to say I've started with this business at X, and look where they've got because of the people we've given them. Yeah. You know, that's what it's about. You know,
I think people forget, and obviously this is the Mastering Business Growth podcast, you know, so we're talking about business growth. And I think people seem to forget that the growth of a business can be down pretty much to just the people. Yeah. You know, if they grow, your business is going to grow. Yeah. Give them the tools, the business will grow.
You're only as good as the people in your team. So there's a thing called forming, storming, norming, performing. So if you're always changing the people in your team, you're always at the forming stage in any business that you're in. So if your turnover of staff is high, well, you're always only ever forming, and then probably getting to storming where all the conflict's happening. Then someone leaves again, so you're back to forming again, forming relationships.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, so this is something we used to teach. So it's like, so if the reason we had to keep our turnover of staff low is because you form your team. You'll always have conflict, and conflict isn't always bad. Conflict is good. You learn how to work with that person, you learn this.
Just like a relationship, right?
Yeah, we've all got different ways we do things and what's best, then you get to norming. So that becomes a norm. This is just how we do things. That's your culture, really, isn't it? This is just how we do things around here. Then you get to performing. But if you have a high turnover of staff in your business, you've got to look at the root cause why. Yeah. And I say to a lot of my clients, like, I've got a client who want to get to hire 40 staff in the next year, and I'm like, there's no point paying all this money to us if you've got no onboarding process, you've got no training plan for them, you've got no what does the next 12 months look like for all these new starters. What are you going to do with them? How are you going to do it? Because all you're going to do then is you're going to grow too quick with your people. You're going to probably waste a lot of money and then be like, oh, recruitment doesn't work.
Well, people are naturally going to say that, and they are. It doesn't work, but recruitment's been around for a long time, longer than most businesses have been alive, and it does work. I'm really interested in that four sort of like phase approach. So what was it? You had forming, storming, norming, performing. So the forming stage, obviously, you're at the bottom, you're trying to get to know people, and then you move into the storming phase. How many businesses that you touch base with, like get in contact with, what phase are they in majority of the time?
Well, in temporary recruitment, they're always informing, aren't they? Because they've always got temps in, out and out. However, I do work with some businesses. Now, for instance, you could say McDonald's was always forming because you're always hiring. So, you know, it's how quick you get through them processes, I guess, isn't it? A bit like the change curve. It's how quick you get.
They're systems, though.
But I was just about to say, but if your business is very systematic and thingy, you're going to take the candidate through that process quite quickly. It's not the whole company, but, you know, that candidate's going to go through that and then they're going to get to performing, aren't they?
That's interesting.
If you've got a business that's not very systematic, and like the turnover
like mine,
the turnover of staff's high because of them reasons, then you know, you're never going to get, if you've been really successful and got to X million amount, you're not going to get to the really big million, you know, because you need to fix your internal systems, you know, with your staff, or it's never going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about my own business while you're talking, actually, and trying to put what you're saying. You know, because we've definitely been through those phases, forming, storming. And I'd say we'd spent a little bit of time in storming.
Yeah.
But we came out the other end, and the staff that we've got, the people that work for us now, been with us for quite a while now.
Brilliant.
So we are in that sort of norming stage. But because of the nature of our business, because it has to be quite fluid, systems change every week.
Yeah.
You know, because it's marketing, because it's growth, you know, trends change, platforms change, algorithms change. It's very, very hard to systemize that. But you can systemize behaviors.
Yeah.
But it's very, very hard to do that. So we need those people to stick around for a long time and just get the culture going rather than... So I'm interested in what your thoughts are around culture.
Yeah.
Because it's a big buzzword. And for some people, it means absolutely nothing. But they talk about it all the time as if it means something.
Culture is how you behave and present yourself as a business. It's how you represent yourselves. It's your values, your mission statements, what you do and how you do it. That's what culture is. People think culture is, oh, well, we've put a water machine in, so we're great. We're good. we have Dress Down Friday, so we've got great culture. Yeah, they're nice things to do and they're what to do. Culture is your everyday behaviour. So it's what you do every single day. So for instance, one of my things is every single day I will get up no matter what time it is the candidate's starting, and I will text that candidate an hour before they're due in work. So if they're due in at 7, I'll be up at 6 and I'll be like, hi, you're on your way to work. I would have told the candidate the day before that they're doing that, and my staff will do the same. Because if that candidate doesn't respond, I'm then going to be the alarm call waking them up. Yeah. If they then don't wake up and I text them again, they're generally probably not going. Yeah. Some people do surprise you. But if I then ring, say, a site manager at 10 to 7, because they're all really like not grumpy at 7 o'clock in the morning, are they? So if I ring them at 10 to 7 and say, listen, I've rung Johnny Boy, I've texted him, he's this, he hasn't answered me. He might turn up, let me know, but signs saying they're not. So do you want me to get someone as soon as I can today, or do you want me to get you someone else tomorrow? How do you think that site manager will receive that news?
I mean, it's not going to be great, but at least you've been in touch with him to forewarn him. Instead
of him ringing me at 7:30 going, where's my candidate?
You never want that to happen, though, do you? Really?
So, you know, that's a culture, isn't it? Because it's our behaviour, it's what we do, we systemize that. So, but I do that every day, regardless, you know, and I do for whatever big or smaller client is, because everyone should be the same. So, yeah, your size is different, but that's just your business changes. You can't change that, can you? But you can change that you're all turn into work at whatever time. You're not late. You wear whatever it is that you want to wear. You respond to the emails within X amount of time. It's all of that, you know. Culture probably does fall into your processes and procedures in some ways, but it's your behaviour, isn't it? It's just how you present yourself. So your behaviour should match your values that you're portraying.
It's funny, yeah, because we have three values, and one of them is be quick. You know, be quick to respond, be quick to help others. You know, those kinds of things. So because we knew we can't systemize, you know, the actual work itself all the time, we have to look at the behaviors and our aptitude and like how we approach things and our productivity and proactivity and things. You know, they're the things that we can build into a culture. And I think it's there. It's there. It's just, I mean, it still needs work. Of course it does. And I don't think you're ever the finished article, but
I think if you always think you're the finished article, that's when you're done.
Yeah.
One thing I would learn from McDonald's is to be the best, you have to always be improving, whether that's by 1% or 0.5% or whatever. Like when I interview people, I'll always say, tell me what you're good at. And people are great, aren't they? Go, yeah, I'm this. And I go, right, so tell me what you're not so good at now. What are your opportunities? And they look at me and I go, it's not a trick question. And I'm like, because we were always had to say what we were not good at, not in a negative manner. And this, I'm coming into, from that world to this world, it's perceived completely different. And I've had that struggle and stresses and stuff. I'm like, wow, why do you not think about, like, it's not an attack, it's not a negative thing. If you don't know what you're good at, well, when I'm going to coach you, trust me, you're going to know. And and it's not going to feel nice. But if you've got self-awareness and you know what you're not good at, then when someone tells you, it always stings. No one wants to be told.
It's that exactly, isn't it? It's self-awareness.
Yeah, but it's also, that's having a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. So, you know, because you want to grow, you want to develop, you want to move on as an individual, you know, you can't do that by sitting still, and you can't do that by going, oh yeah, I'm great at this, but don't worry about them bad things because I'm really great at this. Yeah, always want to get better at what you're already good at. But for you to be an exceptional employee or person, you've got to improve your bad habits, what you're not so good at, for you to become a better individual in life. And that's no matter whether it's business or personal.
I completely agree. And I think sometimes self-deprecation can be seen as quite a humble quality.
Yeah.
You know, if they, you know, it's not like putting yourself down all the time. It's just, it can be seen as quite a quirky quality. And, you know, what sort of age bracket in terms of candidates do you mainly deal with? I mean, I presume it's a broad spectrum, but
yeah, it is actually. That's a good question, though.
Do you have a particular demographic that you're dealing with majority of the time?
You know what? I put someone who was 72 onto the construction site a couple of months ago.
Did you really?
Yeah, a QA. And it was a new client. And I think the next person I sent was about 60 and he was like, don't you have any young guys? So, do you know what? The average age will probably be around my age, like 45. But yeah, you know, and it can be anything. You know, we've worked with clients who, you know, when the minimum wage increased, they couldn't afford the over 21 bracket. So we got them kids who were like 18 to 21. So it didn't feel as bad. So yeah, anything from 18 up to 72, really.
72 on a construction site. That's got to be it is amazing. I can't help but think that that's a sign of the times, though. I don't know if it's just because that individual just wanted to keep working, or if it was out of necessity. I
would say it's a few different reasons. One, I think his role, that's where the skill shortage just really highlighted in construction is, you know, that's such a big area, you know, in our job, where it's hard at times because people aren't doing them jobs. So something we do, we work with a company called Elevate, and we go into local schools and we do career talks on like, you know, what jobs you want to be, because every child wants to be an influencer or, you know, on YouTube, or, you know, like my son's just been to South Korea for a year doing AI and economics, so he's doing computer science. Wow. So, you know, doing AI or cybersecurity now will probably be the upcoming job, and probably what's about to happen, isn't it? So, but we will always still need a plumber, a joiner, electrician. Like, no matter how many AI robots we get or whatever we do, we will still need certain jobs that are needed. So going into the schools and educating the kids to say, do you know how much like a joiner can earn, or do you know how much, or do you like building Lego, do you like doing this, or do you like science, where, you know, you could do this role, and just broaden the horizons. You know, I think, you know, it's important.
It's funny, actually. My son's 7, soon to be 8, and he is obsessed with Lego. Obsessed.
Yeah.
Like, his whole birthday wish list is just all Lego, and we had to actually say, do you want any books as well? Or anyway,
it's expensive Lego now as well.
It really is. It really is. He was looking at some sets that are over 100 quid each, and you know, he he constantly says like what he wants to be, and it's never a fireman or a policeman or that, you know, those traditional sort of what you wanted to be when you grow up kind of jobs. He's constantly saying, I want to be an engineer.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Amazing.
And I'm like, okay, we're not quite at the age yet where I go, what kind of engineer?
Yeah.
But I'm like, brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. He's already, because his his grandfather is a plumber, and, you know, his other grandfather's in the army, and he's seen the practical.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. And the reason I ask you about the sort of demographic is purely for that purpose, really, because a lot of young people, they do want to be influencers. They want to be professional gamers. They want to be, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I just think it's going to, personally, I think it's going to be one of those things where there's too many.
100%.
Potentially.
Yeah, definitely. And it's probably similar in your arena, maybe, though, marketing.
Definitely.
There's probably a lot of people that
Really
I would say your market's quite saturated, isn't it, really? Because that was like, you know, the fun thing to do a few years ago and stuff. So, but you know what? Going back to your very first thing about McDonald's having a stigma, and then recruitment, I'd say, has got a stigma as well, can have bad energy. I'd like to pride myself on, you know, not following the crowd. And I think, you know, you being your authentically self is what will make you successful in life, you know. So encouraging the kids to not follow the crowd and to do what they want to do and be brave to stand up and be proud of, well, no, I want to be a bricklayer, or I want to be, you know, a journalist, or whatever, you know, the jobs that aren't as much, then good on them, because they'll be the entrepreneurs who probably succeed.
Well, this is the thing, you know, because, you know, if everyone's running one way and you decide to run the other, you got to make sure that the upside is worth it.
Yeah.
You know, and I definitely think for those that are running towards the, you know, AI, gaming, influencer, marketing, whatever, you know, they're going to find it hard, and they're going to have to be at the top of their game in order to make probably an average amount of money.
Yeah.
But those that are running the other way towards construction, plumbing, engineering, the upside is going to be huge, because you're absolutely right. We do need those.
Yeah. You will always need an engineer, no matter what the computer says. You need an engineer to be able to put the human touch to anything, you know. Like, people who've got that engineering mind to why the world works, you know, like my son's autistic, he's got Asperger's, and I remember when he first got diagnosed about 12, and he was like, oh, you know, well, I'm different, I'm this, and I was like, yeah, but the world is successful because of people like yourself, you know. He's on the spectrum where he's that intelligent, you know.
Alan Turing,
he'd lose it in 2 minutes conversation, he, you know, but isn't that where all the theories of science came from? You know, all them scientists will have probably been on the spectrum, do you know?
It's a fine line. It's one of those things, and we don't talk about it as often as I'd like to on this podcast, but the actual sort of soft skills, the personality traits of people, and, you know, the neurodivergency of kids now as well, and adults as well. You know, the fact that we're able to name it now, we were never able to name it. You know, I'm thinking of Alan Turing, you know, those kinds of Einstein, you know, Oppenheimer. That all of them had something about them which was not quite the norm.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're able to name it now, and it's weird actually, because my next question to you is, are we losing people skills?
Yeah, I think so.
That was really quick.
Yeah, because I believe that. But then again, so, you know, I can talk from our Thomas experience. You know, he was a kid that just sat in his bedroom, didn't want to go anywhere, didn't want this, and, you know, he's just done a year in South Korea on his own. Done it. So yes and no, because he's just lived his best life for a year. He's gone travelling in between, studying, he's taught himself the language, you know, he's passed with flying colours. So yes and no. I do think with technology, as much as it's amazing, it does remove that people's skill. And I think, like, in a recruitment side, I know I'm constantly at times having to say to staff, like, you know, can you just pick up the phone and speak to them? Like, stop texting them, stop. Because if you put it into our world, if I've set you up for work and you've only messaged you, I've only texted you, well, you're not going to show up for work because you've got no connection with me, have you? You've got no connection on the phone, going back to what we said before. So I always make my staff ring them, speak to them. We've just unfortunately had a bit of a rough couple of weeks with a big client losing credit, no fault of their own, but anyway, lost. So then we couldn't have the staff go to work, for a couple of days till it got resolved. That's a lot of conversations that are hard to speak to people, and I believe that if we didn't have them connections with them already, that could have gone completely the wrong way. So I do feel like we are in some ways losing it. But I was at a recruitment conference actually with TRN a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about AI and saying, whilst AI will remove more of the low-hanging admin roles and all that type of stuff, they actually will create more jobs for the higher level. And so, for instance, if you put it into sales, your salesperson will actually have to be more out speaking to the client face-to-face. It will actually bring a more personalised business in rather than being a keyboard warrior. So maybe hopefully technology will swing it back around.
I definitely think that as well. And you're kind of speaking my language with that one, because I grew up in sales. That was pretty much my first job, proper job. And I genuinely think that human skills, soft skills, confidence, being adaptable, persuasiveness, I really feel like those skills together are like the last human advantage that we have. Not to be sort of catastrophic about it, but I think without those soft skills, you're literally at the mercy of technology.
Well, people buy off people, don't they? That's never going to change. And people want to work with you because of who you are, not because what you can do half the time. We all can do similar, but the reason your clients work with you and mine work with me is because of who we are, and you're their type of person that they want to work with. That will never go away. Going back to that, things where I probably want to grow the business is I'd like to become the middle of an apprenticeship advisor, should we say. So I know there's a lot of construction business that don't want to speak to the college, they don't want to talk to them, then talk to us. So if we become that person in the middle, that we do that for them, take all that pain away, that headache. And then what I'd want to do with my experience is an extra lesson a month or something where they come to me and I teach them soft skills. So like, why do they have to ring to tell us they're not going to be in? Simple communication skills now, you see. Like, you ring and go, why did you not say, oh, well, I just was sick. I know, but why did you not ring and let us know?
Yeah, why didn't you just put your sick voice on?
I didn't need to. And I'm like, well, what do you think what do you think the site manager thinks of you now? Yeah, but I'm sick. And you've just showed lack of respect for them. So if you're not going to show respect that you want the job and respect and communicate them, why would they want you back tomorrow? And they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. And I'm like, so I do try and educate my candidates as much as I can with all of that, because they're skills that we're not taught to do in school, or you're not, or maybe our generation were just taught that more.
I was just going to say, are we not just pushing a boulder uphill with that kind of thing?
Yeah. But it's so much easier to let us know you're not going to be somewhere though, isn't it? Back in my day, you'd have to be waiting at the bus stop, and if you didn't turn up, you'd wait, and they didn't turn up, you go. But there was no way you're letting someone know, so you just turned up half the time, no matter what it was. Showing me age there, aren't I?
No, not really, because I believe the same. There's someone I know, a guy called Jack, and he constantly finishes his content online with, just remember you will die. But making a phone call will not kill you.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world making a phone call, speaking to someone in person, being able to, approach someone in the flesh and being able to do those things. But I do genuinely think it's a bit of a lost art. But it's like you said, you're talking about the triangle of like communication, the top 7% is what you say, everything else is tone and body language. It is that tonality that you get on the phone though, because a text or a WhatsApp can be misinterpreted.
100%.
And especially in the world of work, when, majority of the time you're not friends with the people that you work with. If you are, you're lucky, but you have to work with these people. They don't know you inside out.
Yeah.
Anything can be misinterpreted.
But if you also think of all the new rules for HR coming in now, sexual harassment, that's just being passed, the first day rights that are going to come, actually, having a conversation is going to be imperative, in my opinion.
Takes guesswork out of it, doesn't it? Yeah.
You know, obviously you need to document it and you need to, you know, follow that up with the right way. But we're all human and we work off emotion. And if you're texting someone and it's quite heated and emotion, you're going to handle it wrong. And, you know, small businesses being able to be taken to the tribunal or whatever need to be very careful. So you probably want to get that into your business now before it becomes, you know, law, because processes and procedures, it takes you 21 times to form a habit. So that means you have to do something 21 times consistently before it becomes a habit that you just don't think about it.
It's also the confidence as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, being able to do something 20, 30 times, you get confident in being able to do that.
Yeah.
So things like phone calls, those kinds of things is building confidence. You know, confidence doesn't happen at the beginning. Yeah. Really, it's the end result of doing something.
I build all my business through networking. You know, I've been to the networking meeting at 6:30 this morning before I came here.
Christ.
Drove to York in Liverpool. And I've built my business that way because it's a relationship networking business. And I've got clients who I never would have got, because you can't just walk on a site or you can't just knock on the door, or, you know, you might be lucky with some of that stuff. Cold calling and sales marketing still will get you business. It just doesn't get you as much business as it used to. So I feel, for me, by building my business the way I have, I'm going to be hopefully ahead of the curve in the next year or so. Because you know yourself, when you get an AI call, don't you? You just hang up, let's be honest. You know,
everyone thinks it's a scam nowadays.
Exactly. And until that myth's gone and we're all doing and we get it, then everyone's going to be hanging up in the next 12 to 24 months or whatever, till we go, all right, the penny drops with us and we go, okay, that actually works. So, you know, we're on a very big change trajectory, aren't we, of Definitely. How business is going to go. And whilst you need AI in your business in some ways, I do think the personal touch will be your USB.
Talking my language there. What in business specifically, what are people not talking about enough that they should be talking about, do you think? The
future. So thinking about what does this role look like in a future role? So when we bring these things in, so for instance, AI will take away, so for instance, as the tax, so HMRC are going to make it have to put everything online. They're going to make it have to use their system, do all that. So all paper stuff, all that is going to be gone. So that means for an accountant practice, there's a lot of roles there that they won't need to do, because the individual client is going to have to be doing that themselves. So what then can they do differently? So what other services could they maybe offer their clients that they may not push as much now, or don't advertise now, or look at? So for instance, I've just spoke about plans I've got where I want to move the business forward. What does that look like to you? So what else can you do that's different? So I don't want to just be seen as another recruitment company. I want to be seen as the people hub, or the you know, if you've got, because I do a lot of networking, I can help anyone with anything that they need. Generally, I know someone in something, and so I want people to be like, oh, do you know what? If we need something, we just go to DCT. They'll help us, no matter whether that means I get a client out of it or to just help, because that's what I want to be known as.
You're a people problem solver.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself as a problem solver or as a matchmaker?
I'd like to say I see myself making a difference. Yeah, no matter what that is. So I've made a positive impact and made a difference in people's lives and businesses. That's what I'd like to say.
Nice. And last question. Hailing from Liverpool, red or a blue?
I'm a red, sorry, and you're a blue.
This interview is over. No, seriously, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I think there's some really important things that I think the audience are going to love in that actually as well. So yeah, thanks for making the trip over, and
you're welcome.
Appreciate
thanks
your
for
time.
Having me. Cheers.